everybody, welcome back to Unloaded with Grace Boatright. I'm your host, Grace Boatright. Welcome to our first rifle video. What gun could we possibly start the rifle series with than the AR-15, America's rifle? So just like with any firearm, the very first and most important step is to ensure a safe firearm, and to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to take these two fingers, you're going to pull back on the charging handle, and you're going to look and ensure that you have a clear chamber, which we do. Another way you could do that is to pull back on the charging handle, lock it open using that bolt hold open lever, and then take one of these handy little bore lights. They're about $5 or $6. You're going to take it, you're going to put it up to the muzzle there, turn it on, and if you can see the light, then you have a clear chamber and you're good to go. And we are. So before we can worry about cleaning the rifle, the first thing we need to do is, of course, field strip it. And to do that, all you're really going to need is a little pin tool. You'd think, oh, it's an AR-15, you're going to need like a whole set of tools. Nope, this is truly the only device you're going to need to get everything apart. And to start that, you actually don't even need the tool. You're just going to push on this little takedown pin right here in the back, and that should put everything onto that front takedown lever. And you're also just going to pull on that pin like so, and from there the lower and the upper are going to come apart. Go ahead and set the upper to the side here for a second. We're going to take the buffer and the buffer spring out of this lower, and to do that you can just take your little pin, push on that little catch, and then the buffer and the buffer spring should pull out like so. Alright, go ahead and set those off to the side. Now we're going to focus on the bolt carrier assembly. We're going to take it out and let it soak so that we can get those pieces nice and clean. First, you're just going to pull back on that charging handle, and the bolt carrier assembly is going to start to come out with it. Go ahead and take that out, just like so, and then the charging handle itself. Excellent. Okay. From here, we're going to set that charging handle aside for a second, and we're going to focus on disassembling the bolt carrier assembly. In order to do that, you're going to need your little pin tool, and you're going to take out this firing pin, there we go, just like so. Let the firing pin drop out of there. Nice. And from here, you're going to take this, it's called the cam pin, and you're going to turn it at 90 degrees, and then it should also just slip out of there. And from here you should be able to pull the bolt out just like so. And you don't necessarily have to, but I always kind of like to clean the extractor as well. That's that little piece there on the top. And in order to remove it, you're just going to take your little pin tool, you're going to get into that, that extractor pin hole right there. You're just going to push real hard, and from there should come out nice and easy. And we can just take that extractor right off. Nice. And now we have the bolt carrier assembly broken down into its main pieces. Something we wanted to do right away, because we're going to put everything into a little bowl like this. And we're just going to spray it down with some solvent and let it soak. Alright, just set that off to the side for a second while we focus on cleaning the rest. So it's nice and easy just to get the lower out of the way. I would take the lower, maybe spray a little solvent onto a rag, and then we're just kind of getting to some of those nooks and crannies in there. All right. From here, we're just gonna wipe down the buffer and the buffer spring. Alright, that's nice and easy. So you're just going to take that buffer, put it back in the spring, turn the lower on end like this, and then try your best to get past that little catch lever back there. Just slip it on back in. You should be able just to use your hands to push that buffer back. Alright, nice. And now we've got the lower pretty well assembled and ready to go. From here, we are going to be cleaning a lot, and so I'm going to go ahead and glove up. It's always a good idea. The solvent does have some chemicals in it, so it's always a good idea. Cleaning any rifle really is made so much easier with a rifle vise, which I have here. I actually have a cool little travel one. I love this thing. It's the best 30 bucks you'll ever spend. It folds up all nice and neat and fits into my range bag. Really a worthy investment. What you're going to do at this point is you're going to want to put the lower and the upper back together just to make it a little easier to work on. And you're going to do that by taking the lower, getting up to that little pin there, and you're just going to push it back into place like so. Nice and easy. And we're just going to set it down to make it a lot easier to work on. So the first thing we're going to focus on is cleaning that bore. From here you'll just need a cleaning rod for a rifle, a longer one, and you're going to put a .22 caliber brush on the end, and we're just going to run it through the bore a couple of times and get all that carbon broken up. Just like with the handguns, it's a good idea not to bring the brush right back through because you're just going to bring all that dirt and carbon back in. And so go ahead and pull the rod out. You're going to take a little eyelet. You're going to take a little cleaning cloth. You're going to stick it on the end and just make sure everything's coming out nice and clean. Just like we do with the handguns. Yep. Already coming out nice and clean. All right. Now from there, I recommend taking one of these little bore mops, and you're just going to stick it back onto the rod with a little bit of lube on it. Just a little bit. Keeps the bore from corroding, getting any kind of rust in there. Nice. Okay. From here, you're going to want to wipe down the chamber and those little locking lugs back there. They actually make AR specific tools. I decided not to use any of those today. We're just going to use the tools you would always have in your cleaning kit. But they do make a cool little brush that if you get back there, it can clean both the chamber and those little locking lugs. From here we're going to set the rifle aside for a second, and we're going to focus on the bolt carrier assembly and getting all those parts nice and clean. These parts have been soaking in the solvent for a few minutes, so shouldn't take long at all to clean them up. You're just going to take another rag, a little cleaning cloth, and just sort of one by one take them all out and wipe them down. Alright, now we're going to focus on getting that extractor back into the bolts, and you know, I'm not going to lie, a lot of times that's my least favorite part of the process. It really will help you to take a little bit of oil, put it in that little pinhole there before you do anything, and also kind of lube up that pin a little bit because they can be tricky. So from here, go ahead and actually lube up the little holes in the extractor itself. It's also going to help. And then you're going to take that extractor. It's pretty obvious the way it goes on. The one end of it is rounded, and you'll be able to see the rounded end where it's going to kind of fit into. So you're just going to lay it back in the bolt like so. You're going to take the pin, and you'll be able to see where the little holes line up if you look close. So you're just going to take that pin, and you're going to put it back into place. It's going to take a little finesse, a little finagling here, but once you play with it a little bit, you should be able to get it nice and easy. There we go. Excellent. And you do kind of want to do your best to make sure that it's streamlined with the rest of the bolts, otherwise it's going to be pretty hard to get it back in the bolt carrier here. So from here, we're ready to put the bolt back into the bolt carrier. I kind of recommend lubing that down a little bit as well, not too much, because you're not going to want a lot of that moving around back there, but it does pay to lube it up a little bit. Helps with corrosion and, you know, avoiding any rust. It's also essential that you clean out the little gas key right here, and to do that all you're going to need is a Q-tip. You're just going to stick it in there like so, rub it around, and you should be good to go. Yeah, see, that does collect a lot of carbon, so you want to make sure that that is nice and clean. All right, nice. And from here, we're going to put the bolt back. Now, this is a very essential part. You see with the extractor here, the little flat part, it's pretty essential to put that back at the 11 o'clock position when you're setting it back, 11 o'clock in relation to the little gas key here. Don't get too paranoid about that. There's really only one way you could screw it up, because what you're trying to do is align, there's a little hole back here where you're going to put that cam pin back. So the only other way you could possibly do it is if you were to turn it around and put it at the 5 o'clock position like so, which you don't want to do. It really, really needs to be at the 11 o'clock position, just like that. And then we're going to take that cam pin, we're going to lube it up a little bit, and then you're just going to set it down like so, turn it 90 degrees to lock it in, and from there we should be good to go. All right, now all we're going to do is we're going to sort of lightly oil the firing pin. Not too much, but a little bit. And we're going to stick it back into the firing pin chamber like that. And then you're just going to reinsert the firing pin retainer. All right, from here we have our bolt carrier assembly all put back together, nice and neat, nice and clean. You're just going to wipe it down a little bit, and then we're going to bring the rifle back. You're going to tilt it up like so. This does take a little finesse. You're going to take the charging handle here. I recommend lubing it up on the outside just a little bit, because this next part does take a little finagling, a little good timing. You're going to take the charging handle and you're going to stick it back into its slot. You won't be able to come at it just like full on, because they have these little, why don't you call them, these little tabs here. So you're going to have to kind of go under it and then lock it into place with those tabs already into that solid, I don't know, the rails that you're going to find on the inside there. And then you're going to take the bolt carrier assembly with the gas key up, and you're going to stick it right underneath that charging handle, and they really kind of need to slide in together in one kind of full swoop. In order to do that, you're going to need to kind of pull it forward and get that cam pin out of the way. From there, you're just going to slip it in like so, and now these two devices, the charging handle and the bolt carrier assembly, are both going to slide in together. Just like that. Nice. All right, now we're almost done. From here, we're just going to sort of take a rag, make sure we get all that excess lube and cleaner up. All right, now that we have the charging handle and the bolt carrier assembly back into place, all we're going to need to do is take a little bit of gun oil, and we're going to just lube up some of these springs back here, the safety lever, that bolt catch, pretty much anywhere where you're going to find metal on metal contact. And it's just going to help things operate nice and smooth. I also like to lube up the takedown pins themselves, kind of move them around a little bit. It's just going to help you be able to pull them in and out a little easier. All right, and with that, you're just going to snap it back into place. You're going to take that back takedown pin, push it forward, and now we're just going to do a quick function check. You're going to pull back on that charging handle. All right, everything seems to be working properly. We're going to go ahead and lock it open. All right, everything seems to be working great. It does help a little bit for you to start actuating the action. That's going to help distribute some of that oil throughout the gun, and just make sure everything's nice and clean and lubed up. I think we're good to go. Thanks for watching, everybody. For more fun videos, please visit FullMagNews.com or follow me on Twitter @GraceBoatright7. Till then, we'll see you next week.